Hi, this is the third video that I'm making about signs of abuse in men, so abuse by women on men, and I did 3 videos. One was about behavioural or physical abuse, the other one was about emotional abuse, and this final one is about psychological abuse. These are all abuse characteristics that I suffered in my relationship, and I wanted to share it with you for the purpose of people who may not know what abuse in men is, or abuse on men is. Like I did, I thought abuse was just physical, but it is actually emotional and psychological as well. And if I'd known this before, my relationship and my suffering would have been ended a long time before, because I could have recognised it. And instead I almost didn't get out of it. So this is a video for anyone that might be unsure or think they might be suffering this, and hopefully this will help them to identify some of these things, and to recognise that they may be in an abusive relationship. So the first part of psychological abuse is when your abuser changes your reality, and that basically makes you doubt yourself. So the aim of the abuser is basically to always cause doubt in your mind and portray their version of events, and they're so strong in what they think that they make you doubt your version and always change the reality of what may have been. So for me, our first one of the examples of this for me is our first fight was after 3 weeks, and actually later on when we would talk and I would say, you know, we've been fighting almost from the very beginning of this relationship. This isn't new. And she would say to me, no, we the first 6 months we didn't have any fights at all. And I knew that we were fighting, or she was arguing or being upset with me from the very first month and the very first few weeks. We had, I think, an hour conversation in the car on the way home, where she would go repeating the same thing over and over again, which is another type of abuse. But that changing of reality, making you doubt yourself, think, oh, maybe she's right. Maybe we haven't argued really as much as I think we have. Maybe everything is okay. Maybe I'm the one that can't remember it so well. So that's one example. Another example was she always used to say, whenever we had these fights and arguments, that when we got over them, she would say, you know, we've gone through so many crises. We've been able to get through it all. We're so strong. Don't let us fall apart. Don't let us break up. We've solved so many things. We're we don't give up. And this whole feeling of or language of we've gone through so much crisis together. And I was thinking when she said this, and I thought, we haven't gone through a single crisis. What we've gone through is arguments about nothing. Crisis is when people die, when people have big injuries, health problems, when financial difficulties maybe, really almost life-changing, or or health-changing, physical changing, or impacting situations with yourself, or direct family, or direct friends, and it tests you. I hadn't gone through any of that with her. That was not a crisis. Having an argument about nothing, about why I might have said a word when I should have said something else, why I did this when I should have done that. That's not a crisis. So again, changing your reality, making you think, oh, maybe that was a crisis. Maybe we didn't have these arguments. Maybe we didn't do this. Maybe we didn't do that. Maybe it's exactly how she said. Maybe we are okay. Maybe this is normal. This is the first part. The second part, or the second characteristics, is walking on eggshells. So that's basically a feeling that I had all along, but it got worse and worse and worse, as abusive relationships do, where I always felt that anything I would say might set her off, and that culminated in the final month of our relationship, where I genuinely didn't speak for 4 days because I thought everything I would say would be misinterpreted, misunderstood, and it would cause her to be upset with me and then punish me and be angry with me and stop talking to me and not letting me anywhere near her and blaming me and all of these cyclical or spiraling emotions. So that's basically a feeling that, you know, you're always walking on eggshells. You really don't know what's going to set the other person off. The third type of psychological abuse is manipulation. My abuser, I believe, was an expert at manipulating. She just knew how to do it so effortlessly. You know, always planting ideas into my head. So eventually, by the end of it, I actually didn't know what were my own thoughts and what were hers. She would say who our friends were, who I could see, who we didn't like, because she didn't like them, therefore we didn't like them. It was she would talk badly of others, of my friends, of my close friends all the time. You know, oh, they're meant to be your best friend, why are they doing this? They're meant to be, you know, your friend, why are they doing that? I don't like how this person looked at you. I don't like how this person looked at me. If they're really a friend of yours, they shouldn't be treating you or me like this. Why are they doing that? We should stop seeing them. We should stop hanging out with them. Which brings us to isolation, which is a behavioural thing. But she always found a way to manipulate the situation to get what she wanted, to basically almost control the thoughts in my head, which is, again, psychological abuse. That it's not my thoughts eventually, it would be hers, and she'd be controlling them through what she was saying. The fourth sign of psychological abuse is feeling that they deserve something. So my abuser always felt that she deserved more. She was always telling me that, you know, I deserve, or she deserves better than this. She knows what she's worth. She used to say, I know what I'm worth. Always, and also going further, that nothing was enough for her. So no matter how much attention, no matter how much I gave, no matter how much I did, it was never enough. It was always, I didn't give enough, I didn't do enough. What did I do for her? What did I do in the relationship that was only for her? Regardless of the intimacy or the money or the gifts or just doing nice things for her or helping her with all sorts of things, it would never be enough, and she would deserve something more. Even her therapist, I remember, I think after a year we went to see her therapist, and the therapist just said to me, Nick, you will never ever be able to do enough for her. She will always want more. It will never be enough, and you need to accept that. And I kind of dismissed it. I thought, well, yeah, okay, maybe, but she'll work on it, and you know, it will be okay, and kind of laughed it off like it was something that, you know, that might not really be true. It's kind of in a flippant statement maybe, but the reality is, she always felt she deserved more and better from me, no matter what I did. The next thing, number 5, is making you feel that you're unable to cope without them. So my abuser basically made me feel that I was unable to cope without her. So I was unable to do things without her. And she would say a lot of things to try and put that thought or that pattern into my head, from very simple things like doing the washing, the clothes washing. She would say, "Oh, Nick, you don't know how to do this. How on earth did you manage before me? You're so lucky to have me." Any task that she did around the house, cleaning or anything like this, it was, "Wow, you're so lucky to have me. I don't know how you survived without me." I live in a country where I don't understand the language. It's her language, and I needed help with things in that language, and I'd survived for a few years without knowing the language and being able to deal with that. But she used to, by getting her help, it weakened my feeling with everything else that I could do it myself. And then when I needed some renovation work done or bit of painting done, I felt unable to do it, and that she would do it and she could do it better, and that I was unable, and then therefore I needed to stay in the relationship because I couldn't do it on my own, and I was fearful of breaking up, as ridiculous as it sounds, because I felt that I wouldn't be able to deal with these things on my own. So they're basically always telling you that, or psychologically making you feel that you can't cope without them. The sixth one is unlimited problems. So my abuser had unlimited issues. I think every single day for the last 6 months of our relationship, she would have a major health problem that would stop her from doing anything, and therefore basically stop me from doing anything. That started off with she was depressed, or not depressed, but sad about work and her bosses not being nice to her. So she took the 3 weeks off work and stayed at home, really upset about it and very low energy, and she would have headaches. She'd be unable to move. She would be she would I think, what else was there? She had teeth problems. She had I'm trying to think what else. I can't remember too much more, but all I remember was for the last 6 months, every single day she would have a problem that would stop her. That's actually physical. She also had ankle problems as well, so we couldn't do anything, go for walks, etc., because of our ankle. The other side of it is psychological problems, unlimited psychological problems. Those problems are, like I said, with her bosses, with her friends, she had a lot of issues. With my friends, she had a lot of issues. With me, she had issues. There was always problems. And whenever we solved something, I was always trying to help her. But whenever we solved something, some other problem would come up. So first of all, there was a problem with money. And then so I stopped talking about money, even though I was paying for everything. And then it became a problem about intimacy. And I was like, I don't understand. I give you hugs, I give you affection, I do all of this stuff all the time. How more intimate can I be? I don't get it. All these new problems would come up, and she would say they were always there from the start. Yet for me, they'd never been spoken of before. Even a year and a half into the relationship, a new problem. It was like we were filling one hole and causing 10 more. So there's always unlimited problems, whether it's health problems, psychological problems, physical problems, always the victim. Number 7 is creating dependency. So again, an emotional fear that you can't leave them. For me, that was a fear that it's sort of linked to the other one, but it's in a slightly different angle. So this one, it was a fear that I wouldn't find anyone again. I wouldn't find anyone that was so loving and so caring and so happy as when she was. The fear that obviously that I wouldn't be able to do the simple things that she now took over. She would always threaten to leave, pack her bags, say, I don't know why I'm doing this. This is, I've had enough. I'm leaving you. Packing her bags, putting them in the car, staying there long enough for me to come down and try and talk it out, make her feel wanted again. And then I would have to come up and unpack all of her things and put all of her things in the wardrobes for her. And then also the psychological abuse would continue into, I think I covered it in my emotional abuse video, actually. It's kind of a link between them. But, if you leave me, she will be in the depths of depression and I will be fine. If all of her ex-boyfriends, when they broke up, they regretted it immediately. This sort of, for me, it was the emotional fear that if we broke up, I wouldn't find a great person again. I wouldn't find a loving person again. I wouldn't find someone as great as her. I wouldn't find someone with all of our sort of our how would you say, our inside jokes as such, and it would all be based on my fear of how my life would be after that relationship, and therefore create that dependency. Number 8 is not letting you leave the relationship. For me, I touched on just a little bit before, she used to say she doesn't do breaks. Once we break up, we break up. There's no space. We can't have any space between us. That's basically for a fear of, or almost a certainty that if we took space apart, I would see what was going on. And because I was living with her and breathing it and doing it and having with her 24/7, it was very difficult for me to process my own thoughts. So by not letting me leave the relationship with taking a break, so I'm either 100% in or I'm out. It stops me from finding out what's going on. Again, coming back to my last point, that saying that all of her exes begged her to come to get back with them after they broke up, and even their mothers came and said, oh, I wish my son married you, or I wish instead of this other girl. This feeling of again fear that that this is a relationship that I shouldn't let go, and that I should stay in it, and that she was sorry. She was always working on it. I think another thing for me was all of the psychological therapy that she was doing made me feel that things were being solved. And I remember so many times being like, I'm sorry, I cannot solve this. I don't know how to solve this. You need to go to your therapy. And she would come back and be happy. And I don't know, that kept me in it as well, more than anything. I would have left a long time before had I not seen progress. But it wasn't up to me to fix her. And just because I'd seen so much progress to that point doesn't mean she'll ever be fixed. So don't hang around waiting for someone to be fixed, or for them to fix themselves, and be aware of what they're saying to stop you from leaving that relationship. Number 9 was all my decisions were centered on making the other person happy, making my abuser happy. So I was basically always trying to think, okay, what can I do to keep her happy? If she's unhappy, what can I do to then make her happy? How can I get the happy girlfriend back? How can I keep the happy girlfriend? Choosing where to go or what to do was based on really her preference. Sometimes she would say, I don't mind, and she didn't, but a lot of the time it was just always being ultra aware, ultra sensitive to her needs, her feelings, what she wanted, so that it wasn't, I was always able to keep her happy. and she would have medical issues like panic attacks, breathing difficulties, ringing in her ears, intense stomach pains, ankle problems. She had fears of everything. I used to almost say that she was, scared of her own shadow. And so everything I had to do had to be centered around her needs and keeping her happy. And even her therapist, actually, at the end, while we went on holiday, said to me, Nick, you need to get your happiness from her happiness. So if you just focus on keeping her happy, and then you can be happy that she's happy, then everything can go really nice and smoothly. And that was probably the worst advice ever. It's not up to me to keep her happy. It's not up to me to make her happy. That's up to her. And I'm not doing everything wrong. And it's not me that's causing all of this. I'm a good person. And she telling me I'm a bad person and all these reasons why, and or having all of these issues, health issues, etc. My decisions should be independent of keeping her happy. And the 10th thing is unreasonable jealousy. So she couldn't be with, she told me that I couldn't be with any friends that were girls. She only allowed me to see 2, one-to-one. Everyone else I wasn't allowed to see, even if they were friends for 10 years. No matter who it was or how long the relationship was, she wouldn't let me see them. I don't really know the full reason why. I think she was jealous of that. I think she was also concerned that the girls may tell me that some of the things that was going on in the relationship were not correct or were not okay. That was a big fear for her, that I as an abuser, that you don't want people to find out who you are or what's been going on. One friend that I had, every time I would just mention her name, she would flip out, she would go crazy, to which point, even when I went to places with friends without her, because she didn't want to come, and she was there, she would ask who was there, and I would almost not say her name, because she would flip out if I did. And then if she'd say, oh, was she there? And I would say, oh, I'm not sure, maybe, I don't know. And then she would go crazy, why are you holding it from me? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And she would tell me that I still had feelings for her, even, or I had feelings for her, even though I hadn't. And the only person I wanted was her. I was like, I don't care. I'm happy. I can't, almost avoid this person. It's not. I'm not doing anything wrong. It's not. Nothing's going on. But she just chose people that I could not see, particularly girls. And then even when we saw her by chance together, afterwards she would tell me that I acted strangely and that she felt embarrassed for me, and starting arguments about that. Even if I would say there is nothing going on ever, I promise you nothing, and nothing was, she would not believe that. She would continue with the argument, and that would be the unreasonable jealousy. So these are the 10 things that I suffered as psychological abuse in my relationship and throughout my relationship. So if you recognize any of these, you may find that you're in an abusive relationship, and the best thing is to try and get out of it. If you see it in a friend, you may want to make them aware that this might be going on, and that it's beyond unhealthy. It is it's an abuse of you, and please do check out the other videos. Thank you.